Hello, everyone. Great to be here. Today, I want to tell you something about DSPs and how you can use them to access untapped territories. So, something about me and about company. Uh, I've been working in the industry for over 6 years. Now, currently, I work at Murka, and I'm responsible for managing DSPs. About Murka, you can tell a lot of great things, but the best way to show it to you is by displaying you a nice video that can tell more than 1,000 words. So let's watch it. Nice video, right? Okay, so now let's talk something about DSPs. Let's start with what DSPs are and how does they work. How do they work? So in a perfect world, there is a magic box. When you put some money, your KPIs, a little of your expectations, you shake it, and then you pull high quality users that can keep spending in your app for ages, right? But we are living in a different world, which is not perfect. The best evidence of that is the fact that dinosaurs are not with us anymore. So how does it work? On the one side, there are advertisers like us who want to serve ads to relevant users. On the other sides, there are players like me. I like to play games, so every time I enter the app, ad exchanges know about that, and they are waiting for me to access like any ad inventory, ad placement inventory, and they are ready. They are telling to DSPs, guys, there is one player with certain characteristic, and do you want to serve ad to him? And of course, because I'm a heavy spender, they like to show me ad. So there is real-time bidding, and the highest bid wins. And I'm served with an ad. Now, and important thing, everything like happens in less than 1 second. So it's great, like confident boost, because then I feel like hot muffin being sold in less than 1 second. It's something amazing. Characteristic of DSPs. From our experience at Murka, there are certain things that we can expect from DSPs. Big scale, it can provide really good performance. It can work well for both Android and iOS. Especially iOS is relevant, as we saw on the previous slides from our colleague from Pixel Federation. A lot of us have been struggling with iOS. So we discovered that you can have a great results there as well. Besides many opportunities, it also comes with a price. You have to give it like some time to optimize, to keep running. You have to invest some money. You shouldn't expect like great results from the very beginning. That's from our experience. And iOS on DSPs. And this is something that we've been thinking about a lot, that we considered running. on a big scale there. We had a budget, so we risked it for a biscuit and decided to go for it. What were our expectations? Like high scale, good performance, that's obvious, yes? What we found out, scale is there, performance can be there, but it's not that easy to achieve that from the very beginning especially. We wanted also to test some scan solution, especially conversion schema, but unfortunately this is not available for majority of DSPs. So they are optimizing toward the lowest CPIs. Sometimes they use methodology that they've been using like for LAT users, prior EDFA changes. But we managed to spend some budget there, collect the data, and it turned out that it can be profitable. All optimization method that I'll be mentioning in that presentation can be also utilized on iOS. As a natural-born killer, UI manager, I was wondering if I can optimize programmatic-based solution, or is it just machine learning that will decide if the results will be there or not, if I can play only with budget, or if there is something I can do more. Obviously, there were other questions that I asked myself, that we at Murka asked ourselves, if buying from DSPs, which are buying from different inventories, like from Google inventory, Uplovin, there is a lot of like ad exchanges available. If it affects our direct buying or not, if there is an incrementality, if in running multiple DSPs or not. So there were the questions that we asked ourselves, that we considered, and we came up with some solutions, answers, and we learned that it can be optimized. We don't have to fully rely on the machine learning. So there are certain areas that you can tackle while optimizing. We at Murka focused at ad exchanges optimization, publishers optimization, and creatives. On top of that, there is like a few other options that we went for, that we are currently testing. We've tested, and this is like ongoing process, because we are retesting all the time different things with different partners. Why ad exchanges? We are not happy with just seeing the results per campaign. We want to understand if there is underperformance. When does it like come from? If it's like very good working campaign, we also want to understand what causes it. If there is like, if there are any certain ad exchanges that performing well, or overall everything works well. What's the spend split between ad exchanges? This is something that we want to understand, and we want to utilize that data. Publishers, it may things to be like counterintuitive, because DSPs are looking for user, not targeting certain apps, but you'll see in next slides that it's also relevant, and it can be used. We are using it for optimization purposes. Creatives, obvious stuff, as DSPs buy on a CPM model, higher IPM equals lower costs, marketing costs equal higher ROAS. This is all that we want. And there are also some others that I talk about. So let's start with ad exchanges report. And this is really important. First of all, to understand what's the performance, you have to have access to the data. And this is something that we require from our partners. At least we started requesting it. Not all DSP partners share that data. Some have it like in a very limited way. Some of them share it fully. So for us, the most important is how much we spend per ad exchange and what's the ROAS. That's the main metric that we are looking at. So for that, there is like full transparency from DSP is needed. Also, we always ask for benchmarks from our peers. What's the split for other apps from our genre, which is social casino, and also then having enough data, we can proceed with that. So what we do, we exclude some ad exchanges which are underperforming for a long time. Of course, we are a data-driven company, so we have to have enough data for that. And for some of them, because some of them are relevant in terms of volume, and we don't want to give up on them, so we are just like moving them to the separate campaigns and trying different strategies to get good results from it. This is also really important because you can focus on entering inventories that you are interested in. That's what we are doing. You can, for example, run a campaign which targets only ADX exchange, which is Google, and try to get volume there, see if the results are there, just to increase your presence in that inventory on top of buying directly. So this is a great way to test different solution and accessing different inventories. So that's how we tackle ad exchanges. On top of that, there are apps. And the apps, it's also important. Why is it important for us and how do we use it for optimization? We can see app names or bundle IDs, and it gives us a lot of information. Instead of having hashed apps, which are often, and this is the default setup for some DSPs, if you request that full transparency, it can help you in different ways. First of all, there are some apps that your spend is high there, but actually there is no performance. And you have enough data to assess it. So you can blacklist those publishers. We also found out, this was really interesting, that there are certain apps, especially other social casino apps that we target. We have a lot of data from it. User engagement is excellent. Retention is great. The length session session length is great. Everything is great, but they are not spending money. So it means that probably in those apps there is a user segmentation. Payers are not seeing ads. So there is also a good way to include that apps for exclusion, yeah? Because they are not giving you the real value. As we are IAP driven app, we have to just like give up on those users. This is we could see great great impact of that. It can we are doing it on a regular basis, and it helps us like the first like big optimization that we did helped us with ROAS, and we didn't see that's important. Like we didn't see any negative impact on our volume. In contrary to ad exchanges, because it shaked our volume. And also you can look for some patterns. We discovered that in addition to obvious app categories that work well for us, like other social casino card games, there are also some utility apps like weather apps or dating apps that can provide us with really good users. So it was a nice discovery for us as well. We also used some best working publishers from our data, created some campaigns targeting only those apps and set higher goals, which also helped us utilizing those apps better. And then creatives. It might seem obvious, but actually it's crucial to find a good way of creative optimization for DSPs. It's not like we are just like adding new creatives and waiting for the algorithm to optimize that. We found out a lot of a lot of correlation between like ad format, for example, and performance. In some cases for iOS, it turned out that only banners work. And after removing videos and other formats, our CPIs dropped, our performance increased. It was like for other partners, it was otherwise. Other way around. We had to cut all static um, and just stick with videos. That was the solution. So it can help you understand it better. You can also see the creative performance per category. You may target certain categories using really tailored creatives. So it gives you a lot of room for creative testing. We did it. We have a regular creative testing campaigns at Murka that are running in Brazil. The best IPM creatives then are moved to the best campaigns, and we found that to be the most effective way for us for creative testing. Of course, it differs between partners and their optimization methodology, but in majority of cases, this is something that work for us. From other optimization methods that we are using, there are some simple ones like OS version. We just dissected data and we saw that lower OS versions are not providing good ROAS, so we decided to just cut that long tail. Also, with different DSPs, there are different budget optimization methods that you can go for, from daily budgets that you have to weekly budgets, monthly budgets, and it gives like more freedom to the algorithm to learn and to find the best time to acquire users. So that's another thing. Also, we discovered that for some DSPs, it's better to run geos, tier one geos in separated campaigns. For others, you won't see any results, any volume, and you have to combine them into bundle campaign, and only then you can see data and performance. Also, I mentioned category targeting. Some DSPs can share it with you. It's really helpful to just like, for example, exclude categories that are not bringing you any value. All of that wouldn't be possible without two things. First of all is transparency. Of course, if you don't have access to ad exchange data, to publisher's name, there is nothing you can do. So that's why we require it, but that's only one part of what is needed, because some DSPs can provide it to you, but they are not willing to, for example, exclude some exchanges or move them to the separate campaign. So you can play with it more because they claim that it will affect the machine learning, their models, and so on and so forth. And the truth is that it's often like the matter of like some DSPs are underperforming, some campaigns are underperforming, and the only way to do some changes is just to play with what we've just discussed. It's not like we don't want to wait for another 2 months for their algorithm miraculously improved. So this is the only way, and if they don't provide it, the only option is just to pause them or scale down significantly. So that flexibility is really important. So this is always something that we ask new DSP partners for, and also we require it from the existing ones. There are some exceptions because some partners like have their policy, but they are like well-known companies, and we've been working with them for some time, and the results are there. So we are not strict in that sense for that partners, but we've all knew this is like a requirement from us to have transparency and flexibility be available. So takeaways. When we start with DSPs, we always like have in mind that you have to invest some time, you have to invest some money, because you have to collect data. We always start with best practices, like the recommended setup with DSP, because we want to see what will be the outcome. We want to see how the solution works. If we are satisfied, then great. Then we don't have to interfere that much. But after collecting some data, if it's not working, we want to start optimizing. Another important thing is that we have some goals that we want to see. We don't expect great results from the very beginning, but we want to see a progression week over week. Even during the learning phase, we want to see some kind of progression. So this is also very important. Once you have the data, you can play with it. You'll be testing those solutions that I mentioned. It's always like with us, with different partners, a lot of those changes, like we don't see any impact, or we see negative impact, but usually we are deciding to do that if the situation is bad. Yes, if the performance is not there and we have to do something. So we have nothing to lose in majority of cases. So we know that many of those tests will fail, and I would advise you to be ready for that as well. But the most important message from that presentation is that you shouldn't be afraid of challenging machine learning. You'll be told that you have to learn, you have to wait, you have to put money into it and just trust the algorithm. But in fact, it's not perfect. If it's perfect, everyone would be buying from DSPs only, right? But it's not, so we still have to keep an eye on it and be able to just react. So that's it, guys. If you have any question, just hit it.
Thank you, Kazik. Let's have maybe 2-3 questions. What is the marketing spend split for DSP to other UA activities? What is your currently best performing DSP?
This is it's hard to answer it. It depends on the performance. So the way we manage budget is we look at the overall. We have overall budget set for each month, and it's distributed between social, between SDK networks, between DSPs based on the previous month performance. So it varies. It's hard to say. It also depends how many tests we have and so on and so forth. Best working DSP. There are a few good DSPs. You can mention Moloko, you can mention Arki, you can mention Bigabit. So those well-known big ones, they usually perform well, and we have the highest scale with them.
Great. Do you use DSPs and fingerprinting on iOS? No?
No, we just go with what they offer. So we don't know what they offer. They can just provide. It's really hard to optimize on iOS. We are just also optimizing. We are testing scan in majority of cases, but as I mentioned, it's not sophisticated. We are just doing the same optimization then on Android, except of creatives, which we separate, which we test on Android, and then the best ones we are uploading to iOS.
If you are using different DSPs at the same time, do they compete one against each other at the ad exchange?
Yeah, for sure, they have to. But what we found out, about when I was talking about incrementality, of course, after adding new partner, we closely look at the results from that partner and also if it affects performance on other ones. So if we can see that there is no added value or the performance is bad, we are not doing it. But from our experience, running like few DSPs at the same time just doesn't negatively affect our, first of all, direct buying and performance on previously like running DSPs.
Like top DSP, top 5 platforms on DSP side. So like the probably like the best DSP platforms you can recommend.
Those are no, like I would go with Moloko. So Moloko is strong, Arc is strong, and what's more important, they are flexible, so we can do all the tests that we mentioned with them. Gigabit is strong, but it's strong mostly in US. Charbus is really interesting. However, they don't share ad exchange report, and sometimes you may struggle with volume there, but usually it can provide good results. And the other, like Smadex, is the new one that I believe might be very relevant soon. So I would go with those first. But there are many others that can work for you. There is Liftoff, which is well known, yes, but they are not flexible. They don't share much data, so you just like have to test it. If it works, it works. But there is not that much you can do in terms of optimization.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.